Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have a very exciting figure to review today as it is the newest variant of the Tyrannosaurus Rex from PNSO. This is Andrea, the female T-Rex. We have Wilson, the male, and we now have a partner to Wilson, which is Andrea. And there's also actually a Nano-Tyrannus out, which could be considered a juvenile Tyrannosaurus. Mine has not arrived quite yet, but we obviously have Andrea here before the Nano-Tyrannus, so once that one does arrive, I will, of course, show off the entire family in that review. But what we have here is the female, which, depending on who you talk to, might be a little bit of a controversial figure because some people aren't super excited about the kind of relaxing, crouching pose here on the Rex. Some people say it's not possible for it to actually pull this off. What I say, however, is that it is a beautiful interpretation of a resting Tyrannosaurus Rex, something we do not get very often, so I am over the moon excited about this release from PNSO. As far as the box art goes, right here on the front, we just have your standard image of Andrea. There's really nothing else going on here on the front of the box. We don't have any type of lettering or PNSO logo or anything at all over here on the front. And then on the side we present Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex to you because we think that she deserves your trust. To make friends with Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex should be a meaningful decision. Really nice words on the part of PNSO. And then on this side we have the PNSO logo. It also says dedicated to Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex and everyone who defends the dignity of life. We have never been lonely, as well as, of course, the Tyrannosaurus Rex name down here and 1/35th scale scientific art model. And then if we turn it around yet again, I'm pretty sure this probably says the same thing as the previous side, but again, now in Chinese. So let's break this open and take a look at our newest Tyrannosaurus Rex from PNSO. So as we break the package open, you can see that we have a PNSO booklet in here, and it does again say the same information there on the front that we saw on the box. And then as we open it, we have a fantastic, very large image of Andrea right here. And then as we turn the next page, we have some information over here that I cannot unfortunately read because it is in Chinese. And then we have a really nice image again of the head sculpt of Andrea over here. We go to the next page, yet another nice image here of the head sculpt. You can see a really nice now open mouth version, as well as this time some information in English. So that is definitely something I'll be reading very soon. And look at this incredible image. Look at that. We've got a beautiful image of Andrea here on a nest, or next to a nest at the very least, with some very nice looking baby Tyrannosaurus hatching. Super, super nice looking image. PNSO has some of, if not the best artwork that you will ever see anywhere, and this is another great example of that. That is just gorgeous. And as we move on here, if I can move this open, we can see a nice image here of the skeletal structure of Andrea and exactly how she is positioned. Again, almost, her head's got a little bit of a turn to it. This image has her just kind of straightforward, but pretty much the same deal. And then once we come over here, we can see another image of Andrea relaxing. This Andrea here, however, has, just like in the really nice image that we had just seen over next to the nest, that has kind of like some proto feathers up there at the top of the head. But then we have more information over here on the side again in Chinese. And then once we come to the back, we now have that same information in English, and then yet another image of Andrea. Very, very nice booklet yet again from PNSO. Obviously, this is a museum series release, so it's a good bit bigger and, you know, a bit different from what we get with the kind of more standard PNSO releases, but fantastic and definitely something that I cannot wait to read and is always a great addition to these sets. And then here is Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex. If we position the camera a little bit better. And there she is in all of her glory, again, just relaxing or potentially laying next to and watching over a nest. That really would depend on you and how exactly you take the scene before you, or how you create it into a diorama, but I can definitely say that she looks fantastic. Like, really, really nice, very appealing, and again, I love the fact that we have a relaxing Tyrannosaurus here, because it's just something you really don't get often from any company. There's only like a handful, probably, of relaxing dinosaur figures out there, and this is definitely one of the nicest that I've ever seen. A gorgeous sculpt as per usual on Andrea, and you can see that the head sculpt looks really nice, just like it did on Wilson. And I love that the coloration seems just like slightly, very subtle, different compared to Wilson, showing more of maybe a female type of a look. Like I noticed the head sculpt in general is a good bit darker than Wilson, so Wilson, obviously being a male, would probably have a little bit of a lighter coloration to him rather than a darker color, which would more likely be what you would see on a female. So let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look at this gorgeous lady right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that head sculpt looks fantastic from a detailing standpoint. Like it has all the detail you would expect to find. Very similar appearance to this Tyrannosaurus, just like we had seen on Wilson. Just an incredible sculpt, sporting so much scale detail here on the face, just tons and tons of it. Really nice scale detail here on the lower jaw, and then you can see that very big and rough scale detail here out onto the snout of the Tyrannosaurus. Really nicely sculpted out nostrils, and I love that they always include this kind of lighter wash, it seems, to make the detail here on the face pop beautifully, especially within the larger scale area right here on the snout. I just love that. You can see the eye is painted with a yellow, given a black pupil. Very nice small eye. And again, there's quite a few different variations of color that we can see here on the face, with some lighter and darker shades of browns, as well as basically like blacks here in this area. We can see the teeth sticking out here. No lips on this version of the Tyrannosaurus, and it actually looks really quite nice. I'm not one of those people that absolutely needs lips on my figures. I like Tyrannosaurs with or without lips. I like Tyrannosaurs accurate or non-accurate. It really doesn't make a difference to me. As long as I'm getting an awesome figure, I'm happy. And you can see again that the lower jaw here does articulate. It opens up quite nicely. You can see the inside of the mouth as far as a detailing aspect is incredible, like it always is. Really nice pinkish coloration in there, as well as kind of like a darker pink or a reddish wash, so that all of that detail pops beautifully. Man, the inside of the mouths of PNSO figures just blows my mind every single time I open one of these. Like, that is just about as highly detailed as it gets. And look back there in the back of the throat. It's hard, once I reach this point, the kind of like shadows obscure it, but look at that detail back there. That is just insane. It doesn't get any better than that right there. You can see the teeth are all sculpted beautifully. Very nice, very careful paintwork to the teeth as well, having like a nice off-white, as well as kind of like shades of almost like yellows and slight hints of browns, sort of, or like a yellowish brown maybe. Just basically giving it a very realistic, very lifelike appearance, and the paintwork is all extremely precise and just overall very nicely done. You can also see that we have some nice binocular vision for our Tyrannosaurus, and also that the articulated jaw is super smooth as far as the way it works. Works perfectly. If we come up here to the top of the head of our Tyrannosaurus, you can see again that the detailing aspect looks really nice. As you start to lead back here from the head, you see it transition from that dark brown to now a lighter brown, and you can also see some stripes picking up here that run along the course of the entire figure. Nice creasing here in the neck region of our Tyrannosaurus, as she does have her head facing in a right position, so you would see quite a bit of creasing going on right here. The actual texturing to the skin continues to just look incredible as you move along the figure. Really nice, very vibrant detail like you always find on PNSO figures. As you reach back here into the body, you can see a super smooth transition from that darker brown. Well, it's kind of like a lighter. If you compare it to the brown up here on the top of the head, it's a lighter brown. But from this brown to this nice light stomach area to the underbelly, like that is a really smooth, very realistic transition right there. You can also see lots of skin wrinkles and stuff here, showing off the movement, kind of how the dinosaur is portrayed here, with the legs underneath here kind of bunching up the skin in the stomach region. Lots of creasing and wrinkles right there. Very nicely done. The arms are held into the body in a very nice, very relaxing way. You can see the Tyrannosaurus again just chilling here on the ground, and she just looks perfect as far as the sculpt goes to show that off. You could see that the detailing here on the underside of the Rex looks great, and there's also some alternate color variation with like some light browns right here in the stomach region. Even the undersides of the feet look incredible as far as the detailing aspect goes. PNSO does not skimp out on detail anywhere. As you lead back up here into the back of the dinosaur, you can see the spinal column running along the back here. You can also see the hip bone elaborated a bit right there. Huge thigh muscle right there, very muscular. Just in general, a very large and intimidating look to that leg right there. As you move down the course of the leg, you can see the calf muscles are bulging, even though they're not really being used right now because the dinosaur is relaxing. They can still shine quite nicely there in the sculpt. You can see the foot sculpt a little bit, but not too well because, of course, the legs are kind of covering that foot sculpt up, but it does look quite nice. As you move back here, you can see some really nice movement here in the skin as the calf is pushing into the thigh, really nicely bunching that skin up, and then some more nice creasing here as we lead out into the tail. Lots of creasing, and the tail does head in a right-leaning position here as far as the Tyrannosaur goes, so you can see how there's a lot of creasing that basically runs the entire course of the tail. Super realistic and very nice looking curve to the tail, and I love the stripes out here on the tail. They're kind of like fainter up here, but then once you reach the tail, they kind of darken a bit more and shine a bit more than you see up there. And then if we take a look at the opposing side of the head sculpt, it just looks absolutely fantastic. Again, the really nicely painted eye, beautiful tones of color included up here on the face as well. As you lead back into the neck, you can just see how incredibly big and bulky that neck is. It is huge. You can see lots of nice wrinkling and everything here in the throat region, as well as the skin kind of stretching up here because, again, the Tyrannosaur has its head turned to the right, so it would be nicely stretching that skin. You can also just generally see like some tensing in the neck, showing off the incredible muscle definition of this Tyrannosaurus. Very large, big, bulky stomach on our female Rex. Again, super smooth transition to that lighter coloration in the stomach. You can see the arm is nicely tucked into the body over here as well. And the scale detail is just phenomenal. Like, just generally the skin texture of this Tyrannosaurus is just off the charts beautiful. You can see the skin kind of stretching a little bit over here because even though the Tyrannosaur is in a similar position, you can see that the right leg is forward a little bit in comparison to this leg. This leg is back a little further. So you can kind of see the skin stretching over here, but there are still some creases and stuff up here. Again, the skin is nicely bunching up right here because of the positioning of the leg, kind of squishing that skin up. You have the kneecap present right there. Again, the foot sculpt, we can see a little bit of it. It definitely looks nice, but we can't see too much as it's mostly obscured by the shin area of the Tyrannosaur. Nice tones of color, again, throughout. Really gorgeous browns, and you can also see some other variations of browns and stuff showing up. Very subtle areas of color change that I absolutely love. As we lead back here, you can kind of see the skin bunching up right there as that leg pushes into the tail as well. And again, moving back here into the tail, it looks super, super nice. You see a lot less creasing over here, a lot more stretching of the skin because the tail is facing away. And then we look at the underside, and the underside, again, is just phenomenal throughout this entire Tyrannosaurus. So this is an absolutely incredible version of Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Maybe at some point they'll release another pose. I wouldn't mind getting another pose of her, maybe a standing pose or a walking pose or something, but I am super excited to have this version, a relaxed version of a Tyrannosaur, to create an unbelievably awesome diorama with Wilson, just the perfect companion piece to Wilson, and she is just one of the nicest looking Tyrannosaurus models I have ever seen. As far as a size goes on Andrea, for a length, I don't know exactly how to get a good length. If we go from the tail here to the snout, and of course she's very, very drastically curved, you are looking at about 7 3/4 inches. Maybe if we go to the entire other side of the head here, you're approaching like 8 inches or about 20 centimeters roughly. For a height, there's not really much going on. I guess we can go to the top of the back as that's probably the highest point. You are looking at about 2.5 inches, 6.5 centimeters. If we go from the tail here to the snout, you are looking at about 7 3/4 inches or about 19.5 centimeters. So very nicely sized. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex from PNSO. And you can without question see again that she is a very sizable figure, but she doesn't look quite as sizable as she truly is in this laying down position, kind of obscured actually by those Mattel figures in front of it, and kind of the curled up position of the body with the tail circling around. You know, it doesn't show off the true massive size of Andrea, but hopefully these will help to give you a good idea of the size regardless. And then the comparison that I have been waiting for, as well as I'm sure a lot of you, we've got Wilson next to Andrea, and you can instantly see the differences between the two. Like even with the coloration is really actually quite different on Andrea. Even the texturing of the skin of Andrea is quite different. in comparison to Wilson. Like if we get nice and close, you could see that Wilson has a lot more of kind of like a rougher texturing to his skin, whereas Andrea has a lot finer of a texturing to her skin. So there are some differences instantly when it comes to even the detailing aspect of the Tyrannosaur, but of course the coloration is really quite different. Entirely different tones of brown used for Andrea, a lot darker of a coloration for her, a lot lighter of a coloration for Wilson. Even here on the head, you could see a definite difference as far as like the lighter tones of color used on the head of Wilson in comparison to the much darker tones of color used on the head of Andrea. So really quite different, but man, do they look super, super cool together. And the fact that they have those really nice differences just makes the entire thing so much nicer to look at, because they don't look like the same figure in different positions. It honestly looks like they are opposite sex to each other, and I just love having both of these together. It is definitely one of the coolest things that I have in my collection now, having a mating pair of Tyrannosaurs, one relaxing, one standing, and I cannot wait to get that Nano Tyrannus now to complete this diorama. So Andrea the Tyrannosaurus Rex from PNSO, the female Tyrannosaurus, is a phenomenal release yet again. There is definitely a lot of controversy as far as this figure goes. A lot of people were kind of unhappy with the pose, the relaxing position of the Tyrannosaurus, but there were, I think, equally the amount of people that were really excited about it, and I was definitely one of the excited people, because I love having relaxing dinosaur figures, because it's something that you would have definitely seen if this dinosaur were alive. You know, it's 100% a realistic aspect of the life of a dinosaur, is they're going to have to lay down, they're going to have to relax, and just that image in that booklet showing off Andrea kind of above a nest really kind of creates a diorama for you, because I think now getting a nest with some baby tyrannosaurs would be a really good way to display these two together. And the positioning of Wilson in general kind of makes him look like he's like standing guard, watching over the area, while obviously Andrea cares for the nest. So that's really cool as far as just kind of, again, creating a diorama for you, but that's of course not necessarily the way you need to go, just a good idea that PNSO's pretty much handed you. But again, the sculpt of her is just fantastic, really, really highly detailed as per usual when it comes to PNSO. They've sculpted out every ounce of detail on the model to show off the positioning of the body perfectly. They have also given the dinosaur a really beautiful, very highly detailed sculpt when it comes to like the texturing of the skin, and again a very different appearance in comparison to the way Wilson is sculpted, but yet still remaining similar and looking like a family, especially when it comes to the head sculpts, because the head sculpts are really quite similar. But obviously darker tones of color used on Andrea, and all of the paint application is just awesome looking. It's really nice, very naturally applied, super smooth transitions between colors, and even little areas of like subtle color difference, which is something you do see on living animals. So I love that aspect of the models as well. Just expertly done paintwork, expertly done sculpt, some really nice articulation in the jaw, and an absolutely phenomenal pose for this Tyrannosaurus, and you've got yourself a surefire win from PNSO as always. So if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on both the PNSO Amazon store and Dan's Dinosaurs. So make sure you check the link, go buy this fantastic Tyrannosaurus, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.